Hello, friends, and welcome back to Ghouls Night In, the spooky chat show with your best ghoul friends. I'm Penny Snark.
And I'm Midge Munster. And Penny, I'm gonna saddle you in for a bit of a story here that I
Ooh.
promise is relevant.
All right, I'm ready. Lay it on me.
But the other night, I was at a party and I met my friend's new boyfriend for the first time, and he
Mm-hmm.
was asking everybody if they were from a family that like did fondue.
Okay.
And everybody else said no, but I said, yeah, I actually like I come from a very fondue heavy family.
All right.
And then he was like, "Oh, cool. So you know that thing where when you drop the thing that's on your fondue fork into the pot, how you have to then go around the table and give everybody a kiss?"
Sure, right. Yeah.
And I was like beside myself. And I was like, "Dylan, I hate to tell, I like be the one to tell you this, but your
Right, this.
family either has been like playing the long con on you, or it's just a cute thing your family did, but I pray you've never done this at another fondue situation, because that is not part of fondue
Not
culture."
standard fondue etiquette.
So what does this have to do with Ghouls Night In? It got me thinking about how things and like that just get passed down and we don't really question
Sure.
where they come from, or why things are done that way or not done that way in this case. So I thought today we'd spend some time exploring the origins and history of some of the most well-known superstitions.
Ooh, I do love a superstition discussion.
Yeah. Are you a very superstitious, like do you partake in things like a knocking on wood or a throwing the salt over your shoulder kind of thing?
I would say that I can be culturally superstitious. Like, I'll knock on some wood if people are talking about it. It's not something that I personally ascribe to,
You're not knocking
but
in the
but
privacy of your own home.
no, but I enjoy I feel like little superstitions can be like little bits of culture that we share. So sometimes I'm
Absolutely.
like, heck yeah, let's do some knocking, guys.
Well, for those of you who are either culturally superstitious or a little more privately superstitious, like myself, maybe you've wondered why we avoid black cats or knock on wood or what have you. So I thought we'll kind of journey across different cultures and unravel the truth behind some of these beliefs.
Mm,
So, first up, as I just mentioned, black cats.
black cats.
Black cats. We know they're definite symbols of magic and Halloween.
Hmm.
They've been shrouded in superstition for centuries. And even today, they are so much associated with kind of bad luck, that a lot of times black cats or other black animals are less likely to get adopted from animal shelters. So, where does this idea come from? Because interestingly enough, black cats were not always viewed as spooky or bad. In Egypt, cats in general were sacred animals, but black cats were seen as good luck.
Mm.
uh, and it was the Egyptians who began keeping cats as pets. And the goddess Bastet, who was considered the protector of the home, was often depicted either as a lioness or a woman with a domestic cat's head.
Hmm.
So it wasn't until the Middle Ages that we start getting spicy around the cats. Um, so in Europe, cats, especially black cats, were really hunted, for lack of a better term, in
Hmm.
certain areas. Um, and what's funny about that, not funny, haha, but what's funny is that the reason that they were hunting the cats is that the cats were in areas where there were high rates of Black Death. Now, the people believed that the cats were bringing the plague and therefore were
Hmm.
hunting them. Of course, the real reason is that the cats were coming to areas with higher
Yeah.
populations of rodents to
Hmm.
hunt the rodents, which were, of course, the real causes of the plague. And so, in these areas where they were killing cats, the plague problem got worse. Whoops.
Whoops. Yeah, didn't we didn't generally have a strong grasp of cause and effect in those days.
No, we could have benefited from some like idioms here of like, don't kill the messenger. The cats were just letting you know, hey, there's a
Yeah.
lot of
There's a lot
rats
of
here.
rats, guys.
Maybe you should look into that. Um, but of course, this stigma carries over into witch hunts and witch trials. Black cats are often thought to be the familiars of witches, or also that the witches themselves would like transfigure into black
Mm.
cats to go unnoticed and be able to kind of skulk through the night without being seen. So this association stuck, and black cats became a symbol of bad luck, and the idea that they would bring misfortune if they crossed your path spread like wildfire. I remember hearing this pretty much as early as I can remember that black you shouldn't let a black cat
Yeah.
walk in front of
Hmm.
you. So this is still very much around today. Bummer, because black cats are super cute.
They're so
Uh,
cute.
they're the best. I did this again, not to. It's like I'm like it's not funny, but this woman's delivery was a little funny. Did you happen to see in a Halloween group this year? There was a person who was like, "Stop using black cats as Halloween decor."
Oh
It's
no, I didn't.
Yeah, she was on like a tirade about how it's like persecuting black
No.
cats and making them seem evil. And I was like, I mean, I get where you're coming from, but also I don't think anybody who celebrates Halloween
No.
is actively
We're celebrating the cats.
Yeah, we're team cat over here.
Yeah, the people who are anti-cat are not the same people who are really into Halloween decorations.
Right. So we touched on this also a little in the beginning. Many of you have probably done this without even thinking about it many times. Knocking on wood.
Hmm.
This one I had no. I think we all kind of have a general idea of like cats being tied to witches and things, but this one I actually had no context for where this came from.
Yeah,
Uh,
I do not know either.
yeah. So of course, if you don't know, maybe I don't know if this is a thing in multiple countries, if this is a North America thing. Um, but you basically knock on wood to prevent like jinxing yourself or bringing like bad whatever the thing is you've just said. You would knock on wood to kind of cancel it out.
Yeah.
Um, and there are debated origins about this, but one of the most popular theories points to ancient pagan cultures, particularly in Europe, that some groups believed that spirits and gods lived in the trees.
Mm.
So when people needed protection or wanted to invoke good luck, they would knock on the tree to call upon the spirits or to thank them for good fortune. There are specific accounts of the Celts doing this and believing that the trees were sacred and housed spirits that would offer their protection.
Hmm.
As is the case through most of history, as Christianity spread through Europe, pagan traditions got absorbed into new practices. And so this gesture of knocking on wood, which was once a spiritual act, became secularized over time. And now we all do it.
I definitely thought you were going to say that Christians co-opted it and were like, no, it's like knocking on the wood of the cross.
Oh, don't worry. We'll get there with
All
something
right.
else later. I'm tempted to just skip ahead to that one and come back to these others because that's funny. Well,
Whatever,
no.
whatever works. I don't want to interrupt your flow, Midge.
No, we're gonna do it. We're gonna go to this next one.
Let's do it, guys. Let's get crazy.
Let's talk about where the Christians got wild. And so I will say this is probably the most helpful real life superstition. Don't walk under a ladder is just good advice.
True, true.
Just solid. You can
Just
bump the
don't.
ladder.
Someone might drop something on you.
Someone might drop something. You might knock the guy on top of the ladder, off the ladder. Decently unpleasant things that should be avoided if possible.
Mm-hmm.
But there is more to that than just like OSHA regulation. Uh, ancient Egyptians believed that ladders were pathways to the kind of afterlife, and that gods and spirits could come and go and by using the ladders. So they had a respect for them. But as Christians co opted this idea, they would say that ladders formed a triangle. You know, you're thinking the side with the steps, the like
Sure.
side that's holding it out, and then the ground
Yeah.
underneath it, I guess. And that would represent the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit,
Psh.
meaning that if you walked under the ladder and through the like triangle kind of portal thing created by it, that you are breaking the bond between the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, which of course would be considered not great.
That's a stretch, y'all. You can't just say that a triangle means the Holy Trinity. And
Yeah, sure you
also,
can.
why wouldn't it be good? Why wouldn't it be good for me to walk through the power of the Holy Spirit and Jesus?
Right.
So this is my Christian reinterpretation, is that actually it's good to walk through a
Penny
ladder, because
said,
then you're absorbing the Holy Trinity's energy.
Penny said, as our resident Catholic, I will
Yes.
be
Yes, as a Catholic, I have the ability to make
to
this a
reframe this.
thing, and so there you go.
No, I kind of had that thought as well, but I think that this was probably just more a thing people started saying so that people
Totally.
stopped dying from falling off of
Right. It's like, can't it just be, does it have to be bad luck? Can't it just be, it's a bad idea?
Yeah, I mean it's pretty bad luck if you like accidentally kill somebody from
True.
knocking them off the ladder. I think
I
that's
would say that's terrible.
yeah, I think
for
that's
for for both of you.
for everyone involved, yeah. All right. So next, we've all, I think, again heard this before. If you break a mirror, you will have 7 years of bad
Mhm.
luck. Again, I had no context for this. I've always heard this. It's also in the Stevie Wonder song "Superstition." Now
It
that I think about
is.
it, um, and we talked a little bit about this, I think, in our Valentine's superstitions episode, just in general, that mirrors have long been viewed
Mhm.
as mystical. The Romans believed that mirrors could capture a part of a person's soul. So to break a mirror was to damage the soul. If you were looking into a mirror and it broke, you,
Oh, okay.
yeah, your
Your
soul would
reflection,
be
you have shattered
damaged.
your own reflection and damaged your soul. Okay.
Exactly.
I get it.
And then as far as 7 years goes, seems like a strange number, but the Romans also believed that a person's health and fortune changed in 7 year cycles.
Hmm.
So if you broke a mirror, then it would take 7 years for your soul to regenerate and your luck to shift, basically.
Okay.
Uh, Particularly in Roman times, this specifically centered more around the ideas of mirrors naturally breaking while you were looking into them, which I guess is a thing that happened semi frequently because mirrors were made of much less
Oh,
durable
true. Yeah.
material and had more imperfections in them naturally. And then when the seasons would change or there was weather or whatever, and the material would contract or expand, it was more likely that a crack would form through the mirror while someone was looking in
Mm,
it.
sure.
Uh, Obviously, as time went on, that became less prevalent, so the superstition changed to include the accidental shattering of a mirror as well.
Sure.
But other cultures also have similar beliefs around this. In ancient China, mirrors were thought to have the power to reflect evil spirits. So if one was broken, then you would be inviting the spirits out of the mirror
No.
into your life. And in some cultures, breaking a mirror is even seen as, a way to we what, sorry, my brain. I'm For those of you who can't tell by my voice, I am on cold medicine and have so I'm soup. But we talked in one episode too about like ceiling mirrors, not 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 mirrors you put on your ceiling, but like locking mirrors. The idea of like sealing a mirror from
Oh,
being able
yes.
to. I don't remember. I think we talked about that in an episode.
We did. We
Um,
did.
but this is a pretty common belief across a lot of cultures that mirrors can be used as portals
Hmm.
to either the afterlife or to different realms. And so there are lots of cultures that believe that if you break the glass, you're letting out whatever's trapped inside.
Hmm.
So don't do it. Don't,
Don't do it, guys.
don't break that mirror. Also, it'll make a mess
I would
in
say
your
you're gonna
house.
cut yourself.
Again, just like good
Also, just a
advice.
also just a sensible one.
Another round of good advice. Okay, I'm making sure that I didn't skip anything when I did the ladders.
Yes,
I
I
think we're
got you off kilter.
no, we're great. I think we're moving into our last superstition. Um, this is one I have always heavily practiced myself, throwing salt over your shoulder.
Mm.
And the basic idea around this one is that if you spill salt, you take a pinch of it and toss it over your left shoulder to ward off bad luck from spilling the salt. Uh, now, this dates way, way back. A lot of it really just had to do with salt being like precious
Yeah.
and a commodity, and like so spilling it was seen as wasteful,
Hmm.
and that sin of waste would bring bad luck upon you. So that was to kind of counter that. I also learned, which I did not know, in the painting, The Last Supper, Judas has knocked over the salt in that painting, apparently.
Judas,
Um,
no.
Judas. Uh,
You get
so,
me.
yeah, I'm something of a millennial myself. But so this also reinforced that idea that like, ooh, treachery afoot when
Treacherous
salt
salt
is
spillage.
spilled. Yeah. Um, so then why the left shoulder? It is a belief that evil spirits would be looking over your, like the devil was always whispering in your ear, particularly from your left. I'm not sure why that's
Yeah,
what
I don't
the
know why, but I know the left is the bad side because
right.
my mom is left-handed and she went to Catholic school and the
And
nuns made her
that's
right with her right
right.
hand. Hmm.
That's right. I've heard that from other people, and I
Yep,
forgot that that was a thing.
it's the devil hand. I don't know why. It's just bad.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't even go to like a stern, but I did go to a religious preschool,
Hmm.
Lutheran, I guess. Um, and I've always assumed because I write with a hook on my right hand, and I was always kind of ambidextrous, so I was like, I think I
Yeah,
probably was left-handed, and I
should
don't
have been a
remember.
lefty. Yeah.
But yeah, I forgot that people did that. That's wild. But yeah, so apparently left is bad. And much like our young protagonists in Hocus Pocus cast in a circle of salt to protect them from witches,
Hmm.
the idea is if you throw the salt over your left shoulder where the devil is standing waiting in the wings,
Ah,
that you would blind him or any other evil presence before it could cause you any harm.
all right. Yeah, no one likes to get a handful of salt in the eye.
Yeah. And I was looking at this too, um in the because they brought it up in the painting of the Last Supper too. If I mean, if you're looking at the painting, Judas is on the right, but if you were Jesus, from his perspective, Judas is over his left shoulder also.
Mm.
So I was like, ooh, through line.
Oh, it's all connected, man.
Oh yeah, it's all come together. So that is my little foray into some superstitions. I had fun learning about some of these. I've always been curious. I also learned I'm not going to get too deep into this one, but the don't step on a crack thing,
Hmm.
I learned through this is a racist.
Uh-oh.
Surprise, surprise, it's racism.
Uh,
um
This is an all
because
too common surprise.
I know. And I was like, wow, I literally never would have thought that ever. Because yeah, apparently the OG rhyme, which is supposed to horrify you, is if you step on a crack, you'll marry someone black.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
that
no good.
sucks.
Mm-mm.
So let's pull that one out of our rhetoric,
Get out
shall
of
we?
circulation.
I'm like, it's so weird. I wonder why they edited that.
Right? Who
wonder
could
why
say?
wonder why they chopped that at Don't Step on a Crack. But yeah, it's a fun and interesting thing to question where these things come from. And
Yes.
sometimes you learn interesting history, and sometimes you learn, hey, maybe we shouldn't be saying that anymore. And both are valuable.
Midge, I need to ask if you ever learned the origins of kissing people with fondue.
So
I've been waiting.
no, that was his family's tradition, that it was like an apology for dropping the thing in the pot. You went around and kissed everybody at the table. And all I could think of was that this poor kid like went to melting pot or something on prom night and just freaked out all of his friends. Yeah, I don't know what a kiss wards off in cheese culture.
Cheese dipping.
As the Wisconsinite, I think you're the more qualified.
Right? Oh my gosh.
But that got me thinking about questioning when you're told things and you just do them to learn the origins of those things. So that being said, because once upon a time we did one of my favorite episodes of this podcast, which was about witches and eggshells,
Yes.
which came from learning of a superstition that we do not have here in the States about crushing your eggshells so
Mm-hmm.
that witches don't steal them. So if you are from elsewhere listening to this podcast and you have some interesting or strange superstitions from your part of the world, we would love to hear about them
Ooh,
too.
yes.
You can leave those in the comments on this post, and we'll do a follow-up episode and learn some more about other worldly superstitions. Most of these are pretty common to us here in the States, but maybe you've never heard of them. So maybe
Yeah.
you got to maybe you got to learn some of our weird things, and now we'd love to learn some of yours. If you would like to tell us more superstitions, or just tell us if you like this podcast, you can leave us a rating or a review wherever you listen to us. And if you can't, you can always send us a DM on Instagram. But I believe Penny has a Spotify comment to share. Is that correct?
Yeah, so this isn't technically a review, but I just wanted to share because we got a lot of really great comments on the Halloween tree episode,
Oh,
um,
yay.
ranging from folks letting us know that they also watched Party Makeup, people who also watched Seabird. So it was a great time for lost media. Um, and I was just very delighted. We had a comment from Mary on Spotify who says she grew up watching it every spooky season, and it was always the Halloween tree and High Spirits that would play back to back on UPN. Um,
Oh,
Matt also talked about the Halloween tree and his quest to find a Wonderful World of Disney episode that ended up popping up on Disney Plus that he was able to watch.
hell
But
yeah.
my favorite from Neve writes, my cousin had the Halloween tree VHS from '96, and I borrowed it from him, and I didn't want to ever give it back. So I told my mom the VCR ate the tape, and I hid it. I was only 8.
Iconic material.
Iconic experience.
That's funny.
So I just
Yeah,
wanted
and
to share that.
while we're on that subject, I do want to shout out Penny knows what hours after we recorded that,
Yes.
I found on YouTube a like supercut of just moments from Party Makeup. It was probably like a minute long video of just the meat and potatoes of it, not the whole thing. But after the fact, several of you also sent me that clip.
Yes.
So thank you for being out there and looking out for party makeup for me. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. I have seen that clip, and maybe I'll share it over on the pod stories or something, so that those of you who have not gotten to experience it yet can see how utterly ridiculous it is.
The party makeup fandom is growing in the year 2024.
This is my cult that I'm starting. The party people.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank y'all so much for listening. If you would like to keep up with the podcast, you can follow us over on Instagram at Ghouls Night in Pod. And if you're looking for me, you can find me all over the web at Midge Munster.
And you can find me at Penny Snark.
And until next time,
Goodbye.